You were with us on that shocking night when we were holding in our hands for the first time the leaked Alito first draft opinion. And here we are with a vote in the Senate today that really is a reaction to that opinion. What happens next in the Senate?
Well, what we have in this country is a Republican Party that is hell-bent to tell women what it thinks they should be able to do with their own bodies. They are hell-bent to take away a fundamental freedom and autonomy that I think all women deserve and all women expect. And so that is the fundamental reality. And as you said in your opening, Lawrence, this is all playing out in a United States Senate where a minority of voters have an extraordinary voice in what happens in this country because of the way the Senate is structured. So what has to happen is that those of us that are in the majority, those of us that represent 70% of the voters, have to have more power in the Senate to be able to express the voices of those voters. That's what my colleague Senator Murray was saying just a moment ago. This is going to come down now to this election. It's going to come down to organizing and turnout and persuasion and all of the work that we have to do in a democracy. Understanding that in the United States Senate, a majority does not rule. You have to have a supermajority in order to be able to express the will of the people.
So within a month or so, Roe versus Wade is going to be overturned by the Supreme Court. Will the Senate come back and vote on this again on the day that Roe is overturned, on the day that the judgment is announced by the Supreme Court, or the day after?
Well, you know, what I'm thinking about is how when Roe is overturned by the Supreme Court, and let's be clear, Roe is going to be overturned because of the result of a multi-decade strategy by Republicans and their dark money donors, the Federalist Society and others, to accomplish this end. When that happens, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a crisis of health care for women in this country. Women who need abortions for whatever reason are not going to be able to get what they need. And that is going to create a major crisis. And the accountability for that is going to rest with the Republican Party and those Republicans that have refused to stand up for women's fundamental freedoms. Fundamentally, the United States Senate Democrats in the Senate will do everything we can to clarify what the difference is, but we don't have the power to accomplish what the will is of the American public. And that is why this election is going to be so, so important if you care about some of this fundamental freedom.
Would you join an effort to pass the Collins-Murkowski version with 52 votes in the Senate? And then, of course, that's a meaningless thing to do because it would need to beat the 60-vote threshold. But then also ask those same 52 senators to vote to change the Senate rule on the 60-vote threshold for just this one piece of legislation.
Well, as you probably know, I think that the filibuster is an archaic remnant of an old Senate that needs to be abolished. And I think that we should get rid of the filibuster for voting rights, for abortion rights, for the health of our democracy. I think that it is absolutely fundamental. On this issue, though, I think that if you really look at what is in the Collins-Murkowski bill as it stands right now, it does not prevent the kind of abortion bans that we see playing out in state after state after state. I do not believe that it does the hard work we need to do to protect the fundamental freedoms that Roe protected. And I don't think it gets us where we need to get to. So that is a big problem, along with the problem that, as you said, even if we had 50+1 votes to pass Collins-Murkowski, that doesn't get us anywhere because you need 60. And I see no evidence that we have 10 Republicans that would be willing to join us in an effort to protect reproductive freedom. And that's why the election is so important.
So it's sounding like the Democrats' message on the day that Roe was overturned in the Supreme Court is wait till the next election. And then wait several months after the next election for all those new Democrats, presumably, if you get them to be sworn in the Senate, so that you then might be able to pass something, assuming the 60-vote rule could then be overruled in the Senate, at least for this one piece of legislation. So you're asking, it sounds like the Democrats will be asking for about a year. They're going to be saying to pregnant women in America for about a year, don't expect anything from the United States Senate.
Well, I mean, you're touching on exactly what I'm talking about, which is that this decision by the United States Supreme Court is it is creating a crisis of healthcare for women. It is unconscionable. And the accountability for that rests with the Republican Party, which is refusing to stand up for women's fundamental rights. The only thing that I know how to do as a senator and also as an activist for reproductive rights, as someone who worked at Planned Parenthood, and as an organizer myself, is to go out and organize voters to make sure that their voices are heard. And that is our job right now. I also would just note that there are many, many people and organizations that are now going to have to be pressed into action over these next months. I mean, it's starting right now to do everything that we can to make sure that women have the capacity to access abortion care when they need it. And that is going to create, as I said, a crisis across this country, a healthcare crisis that we haven't seen for many, many years. So it is the thing that I just am focused on is like, who is responsible for this? And what are we going to do joining together to try to take action to make this place, make our country a place where women have the fundamental freedom and autonomy to make decisions for themselves about their own bodies and their own lives.
Senator Smith, before you go, I just want to ask you sort of a personal question about how this feels to you now, this Alito draft that we held in our hands together that first night, feeling the shock of it. And I know you were still processing the shock of it. You've had over a week to live with it now. What does it feel like, and what does it feel like to you with all your experience with Planned Parenthood and as a senator? What does it feel like to you that is coming? What is coming in this country in the next month or so when they make this decision?
Well, you know, when you and I talked about this the night that we saw this opinion, it felt like a gut punch. It felt like, it was almost difficult to process because it was so stunning and so brazen in its disrespect for women and women's ability to make decisions about their own lives. And now that I've lived with it for a week, I have to tell you, I mean, today was a really difficult day for me personally. I was in touch with friends of mine who have worked so hard on these issues for so long, and it is a hard day to experience this. But you have to persevere. You have to keep on working. And when I wake up tomorrow, that's what I will keep on doing. But it is, as I said, I think when last we spoke, Lawrence, this is the first time that I can remember that we have seen the Supreme Court of the United States in my lifetime take away women's rights, take away people's rights. And this is a sign, I think, of a great dysfunction in our democracy.